Alright, let's do this. I've been struggling with how to make this video, and I've got so many ways to transition in and segue to different things, and there's so many entry points I can't figure out what it is, so I'm just going to have to jump in and go from there. But these, I'm going to have to make several videos instead of one great big long one and bore everybody to tears. So these videos, I'm going to title them Resources, and these videos are only for those who are doing serious, deep research into what is going on. I have lots of information, and quite often I leave out important points from my videos and that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a lot of my sources of where I have learned many things. First, I'm going to, and I've got some preliminary notes here, but my notes are definitely not going to cover everything. I don't know how much I'll get to in this first video, because there is a lot to talk about. But first I was going to say, War Drummer got a threat, and it's signed Scottish Rite. Now, I don't think anyone is going to sign a threat, but there are enough people concerned that serious people are looking into it. And we saw what happened with Cappy, in that he was set up to be corrupted, and he was corrupted, and he couldn't take it. Either that, or they used that final video as an opportunity. So anyway, I've been working on trying to put this big picture together for you. And every day I study as much as I can, and I have severely limited my study sources since last year, which I told you I was going to tell you about in my silver dollar video. That is still to come. I still haven't done it, and it's getting close to the time where I can do that video, but I'm still gearing up for that. Anyway, I think everybody knows that Comey is probably going to be the first to go down. A lot of information is coming out. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, about his little fetish for howdy doody, and things that Trump has said about Comey and Mueller and howdy doody. McAllister TV did an excellent video on howdy doody and Comey, and all the occultic references to howdy doody, which is interesting. Well, it turns out that people doing research have found that it looks like Mueller and Comey have been frequent travelers to Epstein Island. We all know what that involves. Nobody's confirmed it or anything like that, but they are saying that's where everything points to. So we'll have to wait and see what's up with that. I would have never thought that kind of stuff about Comey. I just thought he was the most corrupt cop on the planet, and that's it. I never thought he was in with, you know, those kind of people or anything like that. But we'll see what happens. Let me see my other notes for preliminary stuff. What I'm learning is that this TI program is much bigger than much bigger than anyone can imagine. The TIs, I think, that are on YouTube or wherever like that are simply the people who have had a peek at what's really going on. I'm going to try and explain that later, but it's going to take a while for me to get there. I'm getting a good handle on what's up, but it's I think even greater than I suspect with everything I'm adding together. But rest assured, it will come out. It will come out. I think that they're not going to go one day and get Comey. They're going to go one day and get Brennan, and then we're going to wait a month and they're going to go get Hillary, and we'll wait a while and they'll go get Clapper. I think that the U.S. military is going to drop out of the sky one day and get all of these guys right then and there on one day. I think it's all going to occur at the same time. After that, I know that the targeting program is going to be revealed. Brought out. It's going to be brought out for everybody to see and to know about. And that's the thing. The thing that these people fear the most is the truth coming out. Just like their sick little society. If the truth coming out about them is what they fear. Now, if you think about that, if it's righteous and good, why would there be all the secrets? Why would they fear the truth coming out? If it was good and righteous, there would be no fear. Why would they fear the truth coming out? Why would they fear anything? But more importantly, why wouldn't they share it? Why would it have to be secret if it was good and righteous? If it was the truth, why would it need to be hidden? So anyway, I'm gonna give you guys a boatload of resources for you to study. You know, in researching all this stuff in my life, I've had to go back and analyze a lot of stuff just like any other TI. And think about, was this contrived? Was this, this, that, and the other thing? Was this a setup? Was this, you know, a coincidence, that kind of stuff. And like I said, I can come up with job situations. I can come up with a lot of stuff where I now remember something wasn't right. I could give an example, but I won't. I'll move on. But when I go back, you know, Occam's razor would tell me this all came from the ex. When I left her, she made threats. And this would fit in. But this would not account for the 23 years we were together that it was happening. Unless she was part of it. Now, this would also not account for what happened prior to her before we had even met, even if she was part of it. I found out two things very, very recently. And one is the tentacles of this secret sick society, in that not only did they've got their hand in everything. The Elks Club, Oddfellows, Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, Scientology, all of these splinter groups are part of this sick society. Excuse me. Well, I didn't recently discover this, but my dad was a member of the Elks Club. And I've never been threatened by them, but this reminded me of a few things that happened regarding my father, and not my father, my dad. And these are very suspicious. I'm not going to get into my personal life at that time, only because I don't like giving these guys information. I don't like verifying the information that they do have. So I'll leave it there. But something I recently learned, like within the last 2-3 months, is that, and this is shocking to me because I can't understand it at all, but that I recently learned that the CIA has always had a heavy hand in a company my dad worked for. And my dad was very, very high in the company. He was in charge of the company and all of their assets. And it is a very well-known company, but it is a company like Kleenex. I mean, what in the world does the CIA have to do with this company? I can't imagine it. I cannot think of any reason why this company would be attractive to the Central Intelligence Agency, other than this company is worldwide. Maybe they inject intelligence officers into, these foreign countries through that way. You're a representative of Kleenex going to Russia or something, that's the only way that I could understand the CIA's interest in the company my dad worked for. That's something I just learned recently within the last few months. Anyway, I could go into more of that at a later time, and I intend to, if I can do it without revealing a bunch of personal information. I've told you guys I was schooled totally differently than most people. I studied different things as compared to most people. I read far beyond what most people read. One place that I got some information from quite a few years ago. Now, I've been on a truth quest. I can't remember how long it's been, but it has been way before George Bush Sr. I think it was about George Bush Sr.'s time. At least 91. But I believe it was much sooner than that. And then I started getting into computers about 90. I don't remember when. It was in the 90s. I can't remember if it was the early 90s or the later 90s. I think it was somewhere. Oh, okay. It was around Windows 95. It was probably around when Windows 95 came out. So I knew it was around between 93 and 97, somewhere around there. But anyway, I began researching stuff back then. And for some reason, why was I looking for mind control stuff being done by the government? Jose Delgado and all that. I can't even remember that far back of what drew me in that direction. But there was obviously something. Anyway, something that I tripped across more recently, I think it was about 2000 and, I don't know, it was at least 10 years ago, was Major General Konstantin Petrov. I'll put the link in the description. He put out a series of videos. Many of them are only in Russian, but a number of them have English translations. These give you an introduction to the history of the world, controlling the world, This is one of the top guys in the military of the Russian army. He was in charge of their space force. He has educated Putin and other leaders on the agenda of the 666 Society. And Putin knows what's going on, and he is not one of these people. Another good video for you to watch about that would be How to Rule the World. Type that in. Type in How to Rule the World KGB. It was a KGB lecture which gives you a real brief introduction, and this has got English captions. And it'll give you a brief introduction on some of the things they do to the society. There is another video that I'll have to get the name for. I can't remember the name of it, but I might put it in the description there, which pretty much describes the same thing. These are early videos that I found, and they were so precise and from such a reliable source that it really drove me in that direction to learn more. Recently, within the last month, the Anonymous Collective, who so far has been accurate and seem to be exhibiting the same thoughts as the nuns on 8chan and that kind of stuff. They may be the same people, I don't know. They've done a series, or they're doing a series, on the history of the people controlling the world, like the bloodlines and that kind of stuff. Now, I told you I had a different schooling program. And what was a big thing was who's who in America. I mean, I went through regular books and that kind of stuff, study. And when I was finished with that, then I read the dictionary cover to cover. I read, and that was an unabridged dictionary. Then, in two different sets of encyclopedias, I read cover to cover. And then the Van Nostrand's Scientific Encyclopedia, the Chemical Formulary series, and I also read Who's Who. Who's Who became one of my favorite sets of books to read, because it was something I was interested in. I really liked it. I was learning stuff, although it was a bunch of lies. Or it's like that Dun & Bradstreet. Dun & Bradstreet? Who's that company that does financial reports? I can't remember. Is it? I don't know if it's Dun & Bradstreet. I can't remember who it is. But it's, like a credit score for companies. The thing is with them, you can get them to say anything you want to say about your company. So I think it's done. I can't remember who it is. I don't remember. Anyway, so you can get any information you want into who's who and say, you can get them to say anything you want to about your family. And right now there's a lot of, discussion about who's controlling the world, the richest people, and all that other kind of stuff. And everybody knows the Rothschilds, and everybody knows these people and those people, and the DuPonts and Van Dyne and all these people. And they're really digging on 8chan, on the families, and all that other kind of stuff. And like I said, Anonymous is doing this big, the Illuminati families or whatever it is. I can't remember what it is. But there's a name I do not hear. In the Matrix, came up with a family that nobody seems to want to talk about except for him, known as the DL-PTAC. And the DL-PTAC seemed to be this big, deep family that bought all the railroads and then got laws passed where they are entitled to all the property for like a mile on each side of the railroad. So it's like, these are the people that really own America, this, that, and the other thing. And then that the DL-PTAC, let's just as an example, they own Standard Oil, but they give it to the Rockefellers to run. You're in charge of Standard Oil from now on. You can keep all the money and everything. You're just doing it to get it out of our name or whatever. I don't know, like that. But it's supposedly the DL-PTACs that are behind all of this. And all these people that they're researching, the Rothschilds only go back to, the 1700s, 1600s, something like that. The DL-PTACs, they go back to, the 1400s or something like that. But and in all of this information that's coming out, there's still one family I have not heard a peep of, and I've told you about them before. Or I alluded to them before. And that is a man who stood up to Congress, or the Senate, in 1925, and he said, "I'm the most powerful man on this continent. You do as I say." He was pretty much saying, I don't care what the president says. I'm the most powerful man on this continent. You do as I say. And his name was Bernard Baruch. The Baruchs, are the only family that I know of that can trace their family tree all the way back to the flood. With all this information coming out, I believe I'm getting inklings that there are a few more families that can, but I don't have anything on them yet. I don't know anything about them yet, and that's not really something I'm studying right now. But the Baruchs go all the way back to the flood. And then after that, there are other families, two others that I know of. One is the Cecil family, who I am a part of by name only. My dad is from that family. But his name is not Cecil. And he is not my dad. But he is the only dad I've known. So the Cecils can trace their family tree, I think, back to the 400s, or the 800s. I can't remember. 400s or the 800s. And then there's one family that can trace their tree back to 400. There's one family that can trace their tree back to 800 that I know of, and the Cecils are one of them, which is my dad's family. Anyway, I think, let's see if there's anything else I can put in this one right now. Alright, I think I'm going to end this one right here. I'll give you a couple of things to study on, though, to type into Google, which will blow your mind. And these are legitimate. They've been verified by the FBI. And Google this, see what you get. Spiritual Wonder Boy. And White Spiritual Boy. Google those. See what you come up with. And I think that'll do that for this video right here. And I might start another one because I still got a lot of information, but we'll see what's up. Hope that helps. Talk to you later. Bye.